ダメだヒアスカイ
This is Kira Sky subjecting herself to total corruption. She was about to kill her best friend Kira Prism and destroy Skyland. But that is not what happened. Let me tell you how we got here. The rise of Sora Harewataru is nothing short of miraculous. She grew from a lone, idealistic, perfectionist hero to one fueled by friendship, camaraderie, and growing insights. And the crazy part was that all that was done in only half a season. In the second half, the writers are not done playing 3D chess with this incredible character. We're going to see how Sora built on an already impeccable first half, then soared to a sky of her own, and finally accomplished the impossible. With the development she had gotten so far, Sora was about to blow our minds. Would you like to see her do it? Here we go. There's a reason why we like hero stories. They are inspiring. Great heroes make not only short-term impacts like saving the world, they also make long-term impacts on people. They enlighten people with their ideas and give words of wisdom for people to grow and change themselves. Let's take a look at how Sora did it, not only to the fans, but even to her friends as well. Episode 27 was an interesting one to say the least. The 4 members were split up, forced to confront their own weaknesses. Mashiro got the most focus in this episode, but she conquered her weakness because Sora had inspired her. She encouraged her to become more confident in herself, and that she could reach her goals if she puts her mind and heart into it. Most importantly, Sora put faith in Mashiro to push herself when it counted. Granted, this episode wasn't just about Sora impacting Mashiro, but it was a really cool concept to see how far our characters have come because of their friendships. The other example is episode 35. Sora coached her school's baseball club for an upcoming tournament, despite not knowing much about baseball herself. In this episode, the baseball club's star pitcher, Tamaki, had to undergo surgery and is unable to lead the team. In such a crucial match, she felt guilty and powerless. Sky jumps in, telling Tamaki to trust in her team, in their ability, in their feelings and desire to work hard and win for her, even without their ace. Most notably, Sky wanted to tell Tamaki that she didn't have to face challenges alone, and to show her it's not just wishful thinking, she quoted her own experiences as a precure.
わかります。一人ぼっちで戦う気持ち。昔、こう思っていたんです。一人ぼっちを恐れない。それがヒーロー。でも、そうじゃないんだよって教えてくれた人がいて。そのおかげで、私はもっとヒーローに近づけたと思っているんです。エースはチームの勝利を背負ってたった一人でマウンドに立つんだって。でも一人で何もかも背負わないでください。私も玉木さんも一人じゃない。
Sora's advice to Tamaki were insights she had to learn firsthand, from struggles and pain that she had to face and not run away from. It's not easy, but Sky was living proof that it was possible. This isn't even the only time Sora's growth helped her impact someone else. In episode 33, Prism was terrified of having Eru, who she cared for so much, involved in the Precure fight. Sky tried to convince Prism to believe in Cure Majesty for one simple reason. She had been in the exact same situation before, and it was Prism herself that convinced her to believe in them. This is what makes Sky interesting. She inspires others as a hero, but she is also inspired by others. Her friends are really the key for pushing her development, and as Sora continued to grow, she started to make really great use of it. That's not merely an interpretation. The show itself conveyed how she got there fantastically. Let's rewind back to episodes 22 and 23. The two-parter opened up Sora to embracing her imperfections. The events allowed her to open herself up to new experiences and insights. Then, she can put in the work to supplement her growing ideas. In episode 29, Sora was revealed to be scared of stuffed animals, especially if they're living. But she pushed past her fears thanks to her friends, and accomplished a good deed for Maron. It was a humbling moment for the hero girl. She didn't take to heart that she got so vulnerable over the situation. It secretly highlighted her willingness to face her weaknesses and fears. Episode 30 was a game changer for Sora. She didn't know how to swim, and her friends spent much time teaching her. This was paralleled by Sora having fun together with the team, taking a break from the serious swimming lessons. When Sora realized as such, Mashiro told her to relax herself, to enjoy the process of learning, doing things, and ultimately reaching her goals. The swimming context was an ingenious metaphor to bring out Sora's overly harsh standards of herself. So much so that even doing something so simple can be so daunting. Failing to accomplish goals despite her incredible persistence can be frustrating, as Sora strives to improve herself every day. Oftentimes, Precure has made the mistake of telling and not showing, and the show uses experiences that are blatantly trying to target a flaw in a character. Not for HiroPre episode 30, it weaved Sora's flaw into an everyday context, and corrected it without explicitly showing the full picture. This is a common element in brilliant character stories, yet is a nuance-heavy writing style that's incredibly difficult to implement. Precure doesn't use this approach often, because it can make episodes really hard to understand for some viewers. But in this rare attempt, the writers nailed it by revealing just enough of the episode's true meaning for Sora's growth.
Sora ちゃん、力入りすぎてたから越えなければならない壁とかじゃないんだよ。楽しかったでしょ？はい。だったらもう大丈夫。
Sora is an ever-developing hero through learning new insights. She enlightens those around her, telling them how her experiences changed her into someone stronger and better. She is not an inspirational figure founded by ideology, rather by practice. Sora put a realistic lens on the theme of heroism, a theme all about inspiring others with great ideas. She didn't just go through something, get some insights, and let that be the end of it. Sora puts in the work to solidify her learning, even if it means she has to go through some painful or frustrating experiences. Once again, the writing team's planning shines through. Thanks to their efforts, Sora was able to make real impacts to those around her and her fans. Sora has made tremendous progress in her growth, but her big break, the moment that cemented her as a one-of-a-kind hero, has yet to come.
なぜあなたたちアンダーグ帝国はこんなことをするんですか。
愛するお方がそれを望んでいるからだ。未熟。
未熟。
Naivety. It's a concept that, to me, doesn't get talked about enough in heroism. So, let's do that. If a person believes in something, there is always a person believing in its opposite form, calling the other naive. It is the curse of all people wanting to do the right thing, making them doubt the things they do. It is the ultimate burden of a hero. Or is it? You better believe that Sora would challenge that notion. And if you thought that my take on episodes 22 and 23 was already complicated, well, you've seen nothing yet. In episode 41, Sky learned that Spearhead and the Underdark generals have been fighting for the same reason she has, to protect the people they hold dear. This perplexed Sora. If they were fighting with similar goals, could there be common ground for understanding? All this time, Sora had been fighting against the Underdark Empire to protect her friends and Skyland. But with that revelation, Sora became hesitant. After some advice from Captain Shalala, Sora wanted to find the answer to her hesitation herself, which led to a very interesting scene.
僕たちに相談してくださいよ。僕たち仲間でしょ。水臭いじゃないですか。一人で抱え込むなんてただのわがままです。わがままかもしれません。でも今回は一人で考えないとダメなんです。私と向き合わないと答えは出せないと思うんです。
Precure has always been about the team, a team with a united vision, a team where its members talk to each other about their worries and thoughts. But Sora threw this out the window.
君は君のヒーローを目指せ。大切な仲間と共に。
分かっています。仲間に相談するべきだって。でも今回はしません。
To understand Sora's decision, we have to look at the past. Back in Fresh, when Peach realized that Setsuna was Ys, she still saw her as her companion, refusing to believe in her teammates that Setsuna was putting her in danger. In Doki Doki, Heart believed in Regina despite her teammates' protests, as Regina could easily betray them. In Star Twinkle's endgame, Star tried to stop the fighting in the midst of total chaos by convincing everyone to get along as equals. In Delicious Party's endgame, Precious stopped Black Pepper from killing Godats, believing he deserved a second chance despite the terrible things he had done. There were many moments like this in the franchise, and I can go on and on. They each had their own nuances, but one similarity united them all. The cures in question acted on their own intuition. These cures have thoughts a step ahead of their comrades. They see the bigger picture and the way to end the fight. When nobody believed them, some forged the path all on their own to prove they were right. They did what Shalala wanted Sora to become, their own hero. But oftentimes, there was a problem. These cures appeared stubborn, emotional, reckless, idealistic. In the heat of the moment, they acted on their intuitions seemingly without thought, without considering their teammates' perspectives. Acting on intuition is good, but it could potentially lead to disaster. Why? Because without careful thought to back yourself up, your intuitions are impulsive. Or, in Spearhead's words, they are naive.
戦う相手への興味、それ自体は否定しない。だが、お前の興味は感情的。
Sora was not going to make the same mistake. Sora knew that she didn't want to fight Spearhead, and something had to change. To figure out what she wanted to do next, she needed to think alone. Sora recognized that, regardless of what those around her tell her, there is only one person that can truly decide her perspectives and actions as a hero: herself. Sora had always been running toward a set image of a hero, a set mission to accomplish, a set of ideals to follow. Now she has learned so much more about what being a hero means. It's far beyond her initial understanding. The show took great care of illustrating Sora's story, helping Sora solidify everything that she had learned. Because of this, Sora was now more informed and wiser than ever before. She's ready and qualified to make the choices that matter, the choices that sway the fate of the world. Not only did Sora stand strong on her intuitions, she knew her intuitions may be flawed, so she made it clear she will think it through before deciding what to do. By doing so, she wouldn't impulsively act on her naive optimism.
僕らで相談に乗れることがあったらしてくださいよ。はい。
I wanted to take a second to talk about why this scene is so special to me. As I've mentioned, Precure leaders have a long history of having to go against their teammates' wishes and ideals to break the echo chamber that had cultivated around the team against the enemy. And that's an important lesson, especially for Sora. In the real world, I've seen with my own eyes, multiple times, how people have twisted villainy and terrible actions into ones of heroism. And the people around them, who maybe didn't even know any better, are swayed into joining in without thinking it through themselves, thinking whether their actions are right or even morally okay. This isn't just about brainwashing or indoctrination. It's about the dark side of friendship and peer support. I learned the hard way that echo chambers are really destructive to families, to friends, to society as a whole. And I always wanted Precure to bring this problem up. But to me, Precure just kept missing the mark. It's always focused on why we should give villains the benefit of the doubt, rather than talking about why sometimes wholeheartedly siding with your friends on important issues can be detrimental. In this case, if Sora let her ideas out into the open, that she didn't want to fight Spearhead, her friends may reject her and reinforce her existing beliefs. Sora wouldn't be able to think for herself, think about what she wanted to do as a hero. In the worst case scenario, Sora may even lose sight of her shaky yet valuable insights. That is what Sora stands to lose if she chose to believe her friends and side with them unconditionally. And she had the maturity and bravery to mention it. What mattered to her in that moment wasn't just the contextual factors of what would happen if she didn't fight Spearhead. What mattered to her was her identity as a hero. Sora didn't want to be a hero who acts based on values and ideas bred from an echo chamber. In fact, that would go against her entire growth as a hero in this season. That is the true message of episode 42. A message that I think the world desperately needs to hear. With that play, how did Sora's friends react to it? With the reassurance that Sora would think it through, they decided to trust her. Their job now was to support Sora however they could without intervening too much. Sora now had full confidence to embark on her soul searching. When she is ready, she'll be able to act on her intuitions appropriately. Sora now knew that whatever the answer she came to, her friends would give her advice to move forward with conscience.
ソラちゃんの気持ちはソラちゃんにしかわからない。ソラちゃんにしか答えを出せないと思わない？ソラちゃん、私たちにできることがあったら協力するから。思いっきり考えて目いっぱい悩んでよ。
Sora struck the perfect balance to become her own hero. Trust and lean on your allies and friends, but never lose your sense of self. That's what Shalala's advice truly meant to Sora. Whew, that was a long rant, wasn't it? But what you may not have realized until this moment is that everything I just mentioned is only one half of episode 42. Yeah, I wasn't exactly kidding when I said you've seen nothing yet. But don't worry, I've been recording this chapter for 5 hours at this point and my voice is completely gone, so I promise the second half will not be as long as the first half. I do not promise, however, that the second half is not just as crazy as the first half. Now that Sora has gotten her team's backing, what was she going to do? Well, she had absolutely no idea. She knew that she wanted to end the fighting, but she couldn't figure out how to get there. And that was when her teammates decided that she should do this.
そんなにスキアヘッドが気になるなら話してみたらどうですか。スカイを生かせることが仲間として今私たちができることだね。
Sky went to confront the general, asking why they are fighting if they have similar goals. Spearhead calls her naive for worrying about her opponent, to which Sky responded,
これが未熟というのなら未熟でも構いません。未熟だから知りたいんです。未熟だから立ち止まらず前に進まなければならないんです。
Naivety is a curse. It obscures and complicates the question of what is right, the core of heroism. However, Sora saw this curse as a source of motivation for heroes. Naivety is what pushed her to realize that concepts such as right and justice and more are all just constructs, fluid constructs, that could change. If one doesn't change themselves and their way of thinking, or at least try to understand these changes, then that is naive, in a bad way. The good kind of naivety is that which makes the hero curious, and asks questions about why are things the way they are? Why is my enemy doing what they're doing? Naivety is the inherent force that makes us see and recognize that we don't understand everything, and then it pushes us to try and understand what we do not understand yet. Here, Sora's naivety is pushing her to try understanding why the Underdark Empire does what they do. That was the answer that Sora had been looking for and spent an entire night thinking about. That was the key to ending this battle. What other seasons may have mistakenly portrayed as recklessness, stubbornness, and idealism, Sora managed to do it right. Communication, negotiation, and trust are neither impossible nor unreasonable. To a hero, that's necessary for them to do their job, to fight for what is best, not for anyone in particular, but for everyone. By acting on her naivety, with the support and mediating from her friends, Sora is building a strong sense of self. That is what it really means, to be your own hero along with your friends. And Sora had finally done it. Episode 42 was the ultimate culmination of Sora's growth. Growth on friendship, on vulnerability, on naivety, but most of all, her mental maturity as a hero.
考えて悩むことが未熟だというならばそれでいい。仲間と共に私が目指すヒーローです。
If I had to sum up what heroism meant to her after everything, this is probably how I imagine it. A hero is someone who dedicates themselves to making this world a better place than they found it. They try to understand big pictures, bridge differences, and find possible solutions as all the necessary factors change with time. If that's the core, then heroism's end goal shouldn't be to divide or instigate conflict. Heroism should be about connecting people together and encouraging respect and harmony. There is no definitive right and wrong in heroism, nor should there be any definition of the sort, because that distinction is what creates conflict. Instead, there is only naivety, gaps in understanding. The hero's job is to find these gaps on their own, understand them, and find a way for two sides to understand each other. If possible, they may even find a way for them to coexist. Honestly, this is why I love Precure. Precure finds a middle ground in a theme. It tries to sympathize for both the cures and the villains, and more often than not, connect the two sides together through understanding, because both sides are, in some ways, right. That kind of world, one where various ideas coexist in peace, is what heroes should really be fighting for. This is the model of heroism that the Precure franchise was built on. It has endeavored to redefine heroism as beyond right and wrong, beyond choosing sides, beyond engaging in conflict, for 20 years. This gargantuan endeavor, Sora has completed it spectacularly. Pure Sky now knew what she had to do, and it was only a matter of time before she got her way.
教えてくれ。力が全てではないのだとしたら、何を信じればいい？
The Underg Empire had always viewed strength as superior above all, and they sought to maintain their dominance accordingly. Now, Sora and the Precure have come to prove her wrong, to put an end to a fight that should have never happened. For the whole season, Sora had been learning about the very answer to the Empress's question, growing episode by episode, building up to this moment. The final showdown is when we get to see the Precures, especially the leaders, at their best, when the season's theme is emphasized one more time. If Sora makes something happen here, she would become a legend. All her achievements, all that brilliance, came down to one final show of strength.
私カイゼリンに応えなくちゃいけないんです。力が全てではないのだとしたら何を信じればいいのか、その答えを。
After Scarehead, now known as Darkhead, tried to kill the Empress, he had his sights on Sora. The essence of Underg energy needs a vessel to exercise the power of destruction and domination. And indeed, Sora was a brilliant candidate. She's strong, tough, determined, and solid in her beliefs and what she does. If she had the limitless power of Underg energy, nobody could possibly stop her from getting her way. Darkhead laid a cunning trap to ensure his success. He held off the cures one by one, luring Sky deep into Underg territory, where she would be in no condition to fight. Sky would be left with only one option forward. She must absorb the power of Underg energy, save her subdued friend Prism, and beat Darkhead before it can finish corrupting her into a soulless vessel. Darkhead had practically ensured that Sky was going to accept his offer. By flaring up the cure through hurting Prism and the Empress, he had instilled Sora with not only fear, but immense hatred for him. Hatred can lead to rage, rage leads to aggression, and aggression would lead to destruction. Sky would be so focused on trying to kill him that her desire for vengeance and proving herself superior to him will override all of her other qualities. And what comes next would become Sora's crowning achievement. If there's any moment in this franchise where a cure is to be crowned the greatest of all time, this is it. Because what happens next is an action thought to be inconceivable in the entire Precure franchise. In any other season, this should be checkmate. No Precure who had ever been corrupted has successfully overcome it alone. And before you go to the comments and tell me, yes, there have been any attempts, no one would ever voluntarily accept corruption. Darkhead didn't just make her corrupt herself. He wanted Sky to submit to him, with mind games. That was the paralyzing state that Sky found herself in just before her corruption. And for a moment, Darkhead's plan worked.
"力を求めたな。それでいい。入れ物に一歩近づいたな。
こんな力には負けません。この力をコントロールして強くなってみんなを助ける。
Sky saved Prism and began throwing her full weight against the villain. She swiftly became Darkhead's vessel, and soon she would suffer the same fate that the Empress did. Sky, with a thirst for superiority fueled by Undark energy, would kill Prism, kill the other Precures, and destroy Skyland. This was Darkhead's grand plan to ruin one of Precure's greatest characters. But here's the thing. This wasn't just any hero girl he's tampering with. This was Sora Harewataru.
私負けません。
いやい、まだ落ちていなかったか。やれ、やるのだ。お前はもう私のものなのだ。なぜだ。
Yeah, that just happened. You're probably sitting there going, why? And more importantly, how? Why did Sora pull off this bold move, and how did she win? Throughout the franchise, Curse broke through corruption thanks to her allies' persuasion. But besides the brief moment Prism called out to her, Sky actually managed to control herself, seemingly all on her own. How is this even possible? Well, this was Sora's final step towards greatness. Sora's entire arc had one purpose: to convince the Empress of one thing. In a world where the strong eat the weak, the human desire for friendship and its many forms stands as a beacon of hope. As the darkness of strength runs rampant, friendship is the force that unites the world, a world divided by the desire for supremacy. It took Sora 49 episodes to digest this insight properly, and it's a good thing she did. If she had taken on Darkhead with her preseason mentality, Sky would have been corrupted exactly the way Darkhead wanted. I know this because it's the same way that corrupted the Empress.
カイザーでなく、お前をアンダーグエナジーの入れ物に選んだのはなぜだと思う？お前がヒーローだったからだ。お前の中にはヒーローとしての光があった。その光の分、お前はカイザーより入れ物として大きい。
Hero. Someone who was strong, tough, courageous, determined, and relentless in exercising their ideals. Ideals formed based on the person's sense of right. But if you think about it, that's not very different from the definition of, say, a villain. That's right. Sky and Dark Sky may not be that different. They're both strong, they're both tough, and they're both relentless. So what separates them? The hero girl's journey about friendship led her to the answer, and it would soon become Darkhead's demise. What's the secret, you ask? Well, it's hard to believe, because Sky was just being human. Simple as that. And I get it, it's ironic. Skylandian being human. Here's what I mean by that. Pre-season Sora was a duty-centered hero, getting by through a defined set of values. But now, Sora saw the wonders of friendship with her very own eyes and experienced it with her very own heart. Friendship, not raw power, was the key to her success as a hero. Friendship was what pushed her and assisted her in her growth, and whenever hardships came, it wasn't power that helped her get back up. It's her friends, Mashiro and the others. Slowly but surely, Sora began to reach out her hand towards more humanistic values beyond friendship. Camaraderie, love, compassion, and harmony. Sora became a human-centered hero who does things for the people and is strengthened by the people. It sounds lame, but that really was the key to taming the dark side of power. As a wise person once said, with great power comes great responsibility. In the wrong hands, power creates a villain. In the right hands, power creates a hero. Sky's great power came from those around her, and her great responsibility was to simply give back to those who have supported her for so long, to benefit the world. By serving the people instead of oneself, Sora did just that. And so, when her soul struggled on the edge between heroism and villainy, With her limitless power on the line, the answer for what she does with it became clear. Because Cure Sky is, through and through, a hero. Sora's daring act had convinced Empress Underg there was something that was stronger than Underg energy. There was something that can help us overpower our impulse to prove our supremacy over others. And the ideology that strength was everything.
私も未熟です。ヒーローなんて名乗れるほど立派じゃありません。でもそんな時にはいつも友達が支えてくれました。力が全てではないのだとしたら何を信じればいい？カイセリン、これが私たちの答えです。
If you thought that episodes 22 and 23 couldn't get any better, then consider one last thing. In the two-parter, Sora was paralyzed by fear and the risks that came with failure. It was her friends that ultimately helped her regain her resolve. Only then did she have the strength to continue fighting again. If that sounds familiar, it should, because that setback was preparing Sky for exactly this moment. Despite the Empress's warning, despite being all on her own, and despite her best friend being literally held at death's door, this time, Sky was not going to waver. To contain the influence of Underg energy, Sky would have to rely on everything she had learned as a Precure. She opened herself to friendship. She tapped into the power of camaraderie. She learned to reflect on her actions and what was right. She learned to embrace vulnerability. She used her learnings to impact others. She leaned into naivety to keep pushing forward. And she recognized that the power of harmony and love is stronger than any power that divides people. The learning journey was what made Sky stand out. She deeply understood just how beautiful and important friendship was. Sky didn't need anyone to remind her of what she had learned anymore, and Prism knew that. Prism knew that Sky wouldn't be corrupted by power. She knew her friend would survive, even if they had to face the corruption, all on their own.
信じて待っている人がいる限り何度だって立ち上がれる。きっとそれがヒーローだから。
For an hour after watching the episode, I just sat there. Cure Sky actually just chose corruption, willingly, and she survived. If it was anyone else, I would be skeptical, and believe me, I have been. But for the first time, someone not only asked for it, they actually did it. I'm convinced that the production team behind Hirogaru Sky is just playing 4D chess at this point, because this isn't just any writing anymore. This is the greatest writing Precure has ever offered. This production team put together this well-thought-out story with so much detail, so much continuity, so many insights, all for this one episode. Because of their efforts, Sora proved that she really was worthy of doing it. She earned this victory, fair and square. And well, that's it. In episode 50, it really is as simple as fighting and banishing Daijok back into the darkness forever. As Sora smiled while floating down with her friends, letting their victory sink in, I smiled back at her. Sora Harewataru has completed her final peak. Her transformation was complete. Hey, what's this golden thing that I found? I think I know who it belongs to though. Let's go deliver that. The story of Sora Harewataru is perhaps Precure's magnum opus. With depth and conviction, it sent shockwaves that obliterated the highest of expectations. At times, I really thought I could never cover everything. Every single time I thought I was done, another insight just beckons me to dig deeper. Episode 23! As a reviewer, I can honestly say that analyzing Sora was a genuine nightmare. And I think that's the biggest compliment I could possibly give. But this review has to end somehow, so I'll sum up my thoughts in one sentence. Cure Sky represents everything great about Precure. Her story had it all: personal growth, friendship, virtues, realism, and inspiration. It was masterfully executed through great attention to detail, continuity, reinforcement of growth, and connections between Sora and the overarching story. Some people have argued that character consistency was the only flaw that Sora had, especially during the first half, but I say that it was, to some extent, by design. Sora is an ever-growing, ever-learning, and ever-changing hero, the imperfect Precure, whose growth is never truly consistent. This character took the writers back to the roots of Precure. What is a hero? Who are they? What are they like? As I've said, for the 20th anniversary, that is the best possible premise for writing a main protagonist. In answering that question, the team delivered, creating a one-of-a-kind hero. The hero is strong yet fragile, determined yet willing to stumble, self-sufficient yet open to support, leans on their companions yet stands by their individuality, knows little of the world yet eager to understand it, to move forward with conscience, impacts others and is open to being impacted back, aggressive yet compassionate to the enemy, kind, humble, courageous, adaptive, and intelligent. However you think about Kyo Sky, her story was a manifestation of the most popular format of storytelling, the hero's journey. She has revolutionized that ancient structure and the themes of this long-running franchise. Maybe not everyone would agree with me, of course, but I truly think Sora had cemented her place in history. This Precure will forever have a place in my heart. Sora Harewataru, the greatest of all time. Alright, are we rolling? Okay, I'm just gonna ignore all the pops in my voice and how breathy my voice sounds and do this recording. Mina, gokigenyo. This is Kronos, the creator of this review. If you're still here, I'd just like to say a massive, massive thank you. This is by far the biggest project I've ever done for any of my leisure passions, not just Precure. It was hard, but I had a ton of fun making this video for everybody, and I really hope you all enjoyed it. To make the video interesting, some parts of the original review had to be changed and trimmed. And yes, even after everything that I've said, there are a lot of things I actually left out in this video. Currently, I am planning to link up the two parts of this review into one complete video. By then, I will be leaving a link in the description to the complete written review, titled Blue Angel. If you're interested in the full version, which includes a lot more analyses and explanations on various things, feel free to check it out when it comes out. Here, I'd like to give a special thank you to several of my friends within the Precure community, including Kerbo, Clara, Rose, Sakura, and more. Thank you all for discussing Hirogaru Sky Precure with me, no matter how much, because without your contributions, maybe I never would have made this video. Speaking of the video, I originally didn't intend on making this into a full video essay. That idea is thanks to another friend of mine from the community. They wanted me to keep their identity anonymous, but shoutouts goes to them. And finally, my biggest thanks to the hero girl herself. This word of thanks is a personal one. In 2023, Sora and her season saved my relationship with the Precure franchise. After a miserable 2022 that almost made me quit watching the show, Sora's brilliance made me fall in love with it all over again. When I say that Sora meant a lot to me, I really do mean it. I even had the privilege of meeting not just Sora, but Mashiro too in real life. 2023 was undoubtedly the happiest year I've ever had with any of my personal interests. I don't mean to disregard her friend's contribution in any way, but Sora is a huge part of why that is. So this review is my grand tribute to her, and actually to the whole of Hirogaru Sky as well. I spent, no joke, hundreds of hours writing, recording, and editing this review. I dedicate all of that to the 5 characters who gave me memories I'll be holding on to forever. Although Sora is the main focus of this review, her friends were the true reason to her success. So, I'd like to thank them too. Mashiro, Tsubasa, Ageha, and Eru-chan, thank you all so much for helping Sora grow. And Sora, to you one final time, thank you so much for being the best Precure we could have ever asked for. For what you and your team have done for the Precure franchise at large and for me personally, I am nothing but grateful, and I always and forever will be.